This is a review for Fear the Walking Dead Episode 3. This review isn't in front of the camera this week. I had to buy a new camera and accept it wasn't going to get here in time to do this review. So this is not typical, it being this late or not in front of the camera. Thanks for understanding this week. Despite some gripes, this was still a good episode. I'm glad it slowed down again while the tension is increasing. It's interesting that in this episode, the news reports about the outbreak are just happening. I still find it hard to believe reports are only starting this late in the game, but whatever. It's a different universe than 5 years ago. I'm happy they finally got out of the barbershop, but a little confused about the infected guy that looked in the window. What was going on there? He has an all-you-can-eat human buffet behind him, and he's staring in a window? Why weren't more people being chewed on out there? The barbershop wife being injured probably means she's going to die. Travis's ex-wife Liza said it. Without a doctor, her leg is going to get infected, and the infection will shut down her organs. I doubt there's going to be a doctor or a doctor with equipment to save her. And I'm kind of hoping she does die, and it's a wake-up call for them. You know, besides hitting a kid with a truck repeatedly to kill him, bashing in the principal's head, and killing the dog-eating neighbor. This isn't every man for himself or something that's going to blow over. They need to stick together and realize this might be a more permanent situation. On the Nick, Alicia, and Maddie aspect, guys, what's going on? Monopoly? 1, that's the devil's game. 2, Madison, you just bashed in the brains of your coworker and friend. And Nick, you hit your drug dealer repeatedly with a car and know the dead are reanimating. I like that they make mistakes and are stupid, but who kills a person and then plays a nice game of family Monopoly? Okay, besides serial killers. I imagine how I felt after I hit an animal with my vehicle, or when I'm nervous about a big meeting or event the next day. Typically, I'm not in a game-playing mood. Now, I times that by a lot when I think of bashing someone's brains in for the first time, or watching someone kill another human being. Family game night isn't my first go-to response. Figuring out what to do and what's going on probably should be a little bit higher on the priority list, because they said those bags were packed and ready to go, but they didn't look very packed the next day. And then going to their neighbor's house for a gun. Fair enough, you want a weapon to defend yourself. Why all 3 of you? Why not leave one person behind in the house to wait for Travis and let him know what's going on if he gets home? And to also watch the doors. All 3 of them leave the house and leave the door wide open. I'm not buying this due to inexperience. You can play that card a lot, but that was just silly. They live in a neighborhood with bars on the windows. That alone tells me they shut doors behind them. And if you want to dismiss that, bugs. I close doors behind me because of bugs. And I guess I would close the door behind me too if I was seeing a shambling bloody person walking around on the street. Crime, bugs, or weird people wandering around the streets. Take your pick why you should close the door behind you. Awesome death maze in the neighbor's yard though, so they get the gun but see Travis pulling in. First, Travis and his group made it back to Maddie's fairly quickly. I thought it would be more dragged out. That was good. I'm guessing going back through the death maze to get Travis was quicker than going out a door or some other way. Anyways, that poor dog. For people asking how the zombie got a hold of the dog, I'm assuming the dog being scared and or cornered, and I am in no way bashing German Shepherds as I love those guys. But the dog was scared and perhaps started biting the undead guy. The zombie, not feeling pain and really not giving a shit he's undead, probably started biting the dog back, and that's how it was caught. I'm not too upset about how they handled the undead neighbor. Closing the door is one thing, having a kill instinct is another. You don't lose your morals in 1 or 2 days. But Daniel, the barbershop guy, did what had to be done, and I think that's because of the hint we got that he was part of the Salvadoran Civil War, which gives us a whole new perspective on him. I won't go into details, but if he was a part of it, he saw and experienced horrifying things. Child soldiers, death squads, torture, extreme violence. It's no wonder he was so quick to shoot the neighbor and declare Madison and Travis weak. And it brings a new level of sadness to his line, "The good ones are the first to die." I'd imagine his character had to do things he wasn't proud of to survive the Civil War. Now I'm interested if when he said it's too late when the military showed up, if he meant it's too late for them to do anything, or if it's too late for him and his family because the military is here and they won't escape. From his experience, he might not have a lot of fond memories of the military. I don't necessarily agree with Travis freaking out on Daniel for showing Chris how to use a gun, but again, I understand your morals and positions don't change in a day. Travis is very anti-gun, and from his reactions, such as not wanting to kill the neighbor, he believes the situation is temporary and curable. Under those beliefs, his son staying away from guns makes sense to him. Even though there's this other side of me that is really bothered when someone refuses to educate people on something just because they don't believe in it, but whatever. I'm excited at the end we saw the military come in, and what about that headshot? Wow, I'm thinking they took it because they knew they had nothing to lose. Either take the shot and kill the undead woman, or don't and the man gets bit and turned before anyone gets to him. They had to take the shot, which was a really good shot. Now that the military is here, I imagine life is going to suck for the families. The military is there to make sure the group survives, not the individual. Not knowing how the virus spreads will also make them more prone to kill or get rid of potential threats than wait it out and risk the group. If we don't see that come into play next episode, I would be very surprised. Some ending thoughts: we keep seeing planes in the sky despite hearing the planes are grounded. Is this a sign of wealthier people with connections getting flights out while everyone is stuck? Or are these the last planes that are trying to land? The plane this episode was flying suspiciously. Why during the periods when the power was on didn't Madison and family turn on the television or radio to get updates? I've only known people to be glued to the news during disasters, disease, outbreaks, etc. None of them care to hear anything? This is frustrating on multiple levels. One, that isn't a rookie mistake. That goes against normal human response, especially in the information age. Two, they keep talking about how they don't know what's going on. You correct that by gathering information. Turn on the TV. 3, I want to know more about how the outbreak is being handled, damn it. Turn on the TV or radio for me. Travis saying you're never going to lose me to Madison, yeah, you're gonna lose him. Unless we're about to see a dramatic change in him, but that was like a death sentence. The military still having orders and helping to quarantine places most likely means the outbreak isn't too crazy yet. If it was game over at this point, I'd imagine more people going to their families. Bonus, when things crash around them, maybe Maddie and company will have some sweet guns, armor, and such for survival. Lastly, some people are getting upset about the stupidity shown by some of the characters. Yeah, sometimes stupid mistakes go a little too far, but here's one of my favorite quotes. Think about how stupid the average person is, and then realize that half of them are stupider than that. When we saw Rick's group, they were still making bad decisions, and those were the smarter people that survived the outbreak, and maybe a few dummies that survived via luck. But for the most part, Rick's group had intelligent people that were still adjusting to the outbreak months later. These characters are at the very beginning of the outbreak. How boring would it be if every character did everything right? This was the point of Fear the Walking Dead, the collapse of society, how people change, how people couldn't or wouldn't change and died. How did some survive while others died? At what point did people realize that killing what looks like a living person isn't murder anymore, but survival? When did they figure out this outbreak isn't blowing over? I really want to see these questions answered on Fear the Walking Dead, because a month or so into the apocalypse on The Walking Dead, they still thought the military would come strolling in any minute now to save them and rebuild society. I want to see Fear the Walking Dead characters cling onto their life and address the issues of when you start killing, when it becomes acceptable, and how people lose their morals at the end as it gets closer. So that was my review for this episode. I'm loving the slow burn. You can write your thoughts below. Come back next week for Fear the Walking Dead review much earlier in the week, and Sunday and Wednesday for Game of Thrones videos, with Star Wars videos starting up soon.